Welcome to Leadership from the Inside Out. Lesson number 6. When I was in prison, there's kind of a general apathy, kind of living by the day, but don't look at the calendar. In fact, some people refuse to even own a calendar, let alone have a schedule. And, you wake up when you want to, unless you want to make sure you get to the chow hall for breakfast. You go to sleep when you want to, and unless you have something that's going to get you up early the next day, like off-site medical. And there's just kind of an overall sense of apathy. And in our previous lesson, I talked about how that taught me excellence. But in this lesson, I want to share how I learned discipline. Once again, discipline is so much easier when others are disciplined around you. And again, that's why it's so important of who we surround ourselves with. But when I was incarcerated, I didn't have a lot of that. In fact, even some of the most disciplined people I knew would often be the ones that made excuses for why they were or were not doing what they should have been doing. In fact, one of the most common phrases that I heard while I was incarcerated was this idea of when in Rome, do as the Romans. And to a certain extent, there's just a ton of value in that, right? Like the point is not to go in and make everyone look bad. The point is not to go in and try to act uppity or something. But man, I learned so much about discipline. I spent 12 years in the Department of Corrections, 12 years behind bars, 12 years never seeing the free world unless I was in shackles. It's a long time. And I started very young, which meant that 12 years seems longer when you're younger, Getting to your 50s, a decade may not seem quite as big of a deal. When you're in your teens, a decade is a really long time. And I had to make a decision super early during my incarceration that I was going to be disciplined. I wasn't going to be disciplined because the judge told me to, because he didn't. I wasn't going to be disciplined because DOC required it, because they didn't. I wasn't going to be disciplined because it was the cool thing to do, because it wasn't. And I wasn't going to be disciplined because that's what everybody else was doing, or anybody else really was doing, because they weren't. I was going to be disciplined because it was my life. And I'd made a really, really poor decision that had catastrophic consequences, not only on my own life, but on the lives of those that I love and care for. And I had a choice now to make every single day regarding what I was going to do with the rest of my life. I have found that as a leader, it is so easy to live day to day, to put most of our energy and effort into putting out fires. And there's nothing, again, intrinsically wrong with meeting the need of the moment. But being disciplined, being strategic, doing the right thing at the right time for the right reason. I learned that in prison more than anywhere else. I learned the value. And I learned that the few people that walk with discipline in that context were the people that, when they weren't in that context, were able to do stunning and amazing things. Leadership lesson number 6: the value of discipline.